Look at that. Listen, as I record this in late August 2021, Apple is so close to releasing the next iPhone that it could have done it by the end of this sentence. Did I get away with it? When are you watching this? Yeah, is the next iPhone out when you are? Or the one? Listen, this is about the best iPhone for writers, and it's part of a series, actually, the best Mac for writers, the best iPad, and so on. I've got to cover the iPhone because iPhones are so incredibly useful to us as writers, but I accept my timing could be better. Except, I don't want 58 keys editions to have a half-life of, 20 minutes. I want them to last for a while, so oh yeah, without doubt, there will be new iPhones in the next few minutes or at best weeks after I record this, but I'm still going to make a recommendation because while the new iPhones will be better, there'll always be a new, better iPhone coming. The way you pick the right one for you, though, well, that changes a lot less often. What do you think? Did I look like I was really writing this? Yeah, was the towel too much? The towel was too much. Hello, I'm William Gallagher and this is 58 Keys, which as ever is for writers like you and me who write on Macs and iPhones and iPads. Since we write on these things though, we kind of rather have to get them first. So this is part of a series of specials recommending the best Mac, the best iPhone, the best iPad and more, and actually which will then be followed by a whole episode on the best way to pay for these. That's legal ways. That sounded wrong. Yeah, do subscribe, especially for that one, wouldn't you? I mean, we're talking Apple, so we're not talking about cheap, we're not talking about saving a lot of money, but there are options and they can be very useful. Now, iPhones. Let me just tell you right off, the best iPhone for writers is what Apple calls the iPhone. Today, as I record this, that's the iPhone 12. Tomorrow, it'll be the iPhone 13, unless Apple is squeamish about 13 and skips the titles again. Yeah, anyway, definitely the iPhone 12 or the iPhone 13. No, wait. There is a bit more to say. Yeah, well, a little bit at least, I think. Okay, whenever you're watching this, all right, it's likely that Apple will have 3 or 4 new iPhones on sale, but it will also be selling 1 or maybe 2 of its older releases. Any one of these is fine. Actually, any one of them is great. I don't want to get into why iPhone for writers. Not this time anyway. I want to spend our time on which iPhone. Take a look, just as one example, take a look at my iPhone's home screen. Every single app there gets hammered as part of my writing and as part of my writing business. I'm a full-time freelance writer and I run it through the phone. So if you're on a budget, buy any iPhone you can afford and be done with it. In general, older iPhones, well, they're cheaper. Older iPhones, I mean, they're good value because they'll continue to be supported for years. But newer ones, well, they're starting now, and so they're supported longer into the future. And new ones will be better. Halfway between old and new, kind of, depending on when you buy, there's one called the iPhone SE. Apple appears to be bringing out this cheaper iPhone only every few years, but it's actually a little hard to be sure about that since they've only done it twice. If they do it a third time and we can see the pattern, well, definitely the next iPhone SE will be like the ones before it. Lower cost than the older iPhones, mostly older technology, quite possibly a great bargain. A bargain in Apple terms, anyway. Apple doesn't skimp on the iPhone SE though, so if a new one has come out around the time you're watching this, well, give it some serious thought. Okay, the last one came out in 2020. Apple also did something else in 2020 though. It did something special with the iPhone 12 range, the top end range that it released that year, something that it now appears to be planning to keep doing. For the first time, the innards of every iPhone in 2020 were pretty much the same. The iPhone 12, the iPhone 12 mini, the iPhone 12 Pro, the iPhone 12 Pro Max, they all had the same processor. They all had 5G in so many ways. They were the same phone. It was actually hard to pick between some of the models. I mean, specifically, actually, there were 2 in the middle that it was really tough. two kind of in the middle. I'm not sure how to describe them. But it's the iPhone 12 and the iPhone 12 Pro. And this is almost certain to be exactly the same with the iPhone 13 and the iPhone 13 Pro, or whatever they're called, later in 2021, very soon in 2021. The other models actually were sufficiently different that it was reasonably easy to pick, or to know whether they were the one you wanted anyway. One was the iPhone 12 Pro Mini, which is like an iPhone 12 squeezed down, and that smaller size is really appealing. And then speaking of size, the other one that was easy to pick from was iPhone 12 Pro Max. It has a larger screen because it can. It has a larger body. There is a story that Apple is going to release a non-Pro iPhone 13 that has that same larger screen size, the same size and body as the Pro Max. So presumably it will lack something to make a difference, to make it non-Pro. Probably that'll be something to do with the cameras. Whatever it is, if it's true, then that's just going to muddy the only bit of the whole waters that were clear. I tell you, apart from the small one and the huge one, it was really hard in 2020 to understand the differences between the iPhone 12 and the iPhone 12 Pro. Whichever one you chose between them, it came down to the smallest differences to do with the cameras, to do with technology called LiDAR, which I've actually talked about before, and I more than talked, I've enthused about it a lot. Have a look in the description below for links to when I last enthused about LiDAR. The iPhone 12 and the iPhone 12 Pro are the same physical size, and actually that's the size I like a lot. For me, the iPhone Pro Max thing is that size, it's too big. I used a similar sized iPhone XS Max for a year once. It wasn't me. It could be you, but you need to be sure if you can possibly hold one and find out yourself, because iPhone Pro Maxes are very expensive. They are top of the range in features, but top of the range in price too. And that's the real thing here for us, cost. Again and again, I will argue that something cheap or cheaper is not automatically a bargain. I mean, if it doesn't do what you need, or if it doesn't last, then you haven't saved yourself money buying it, you've wasted money buying it. Okay? Buying something worthless is no saving. Given that we're writers and we're on a budget, it's tempting, but spend time to pick carefully. We can write on any iPhones, but I offer that the sweet spot to aim for, the sweet spot in the entire range, is the basic iPhone. The larger screen of the iPhone Pro Max does make it like a small iPad really, and that is handy. I have found that handy when writing on it, but not that much more handy than writing on a small iPhone, not that much more handier that it was anywhere near worth the extra cost to me, especially when I have an iPad anyway. Again and again, across this whole series of 58 key specials, I'm afraid I'm going to strongly recommend the best device for you as a writer, and then admit that it isn't what I bought. So, I am certain that right now the iPhone 12 is the best iPhone for writers, and that tomorrow it'll be the iPhone 13 or whatever it is. I didn't buy the iPhone 12, and I'm not going to buy the iPhone 13. Last year, I bought the iPhone 12 Pro, and I tell you, I had buyer's remorse for weeks. I even wondered, actually, had I only bought that one because I used to have an iPhone 11 Pro, and did I just regard myself as a pro? Am I actually that up myself? I mean, it's unfortunately possible, and I don't like admitting that to me, let alone to you. I'll tell you the prices in a minute, but you know how this works. The Pro models of iPhones, they're much more expensive than the non-Pro ones. So did I really spend an awful lot of money because of its name? Mind you, we are writers. Are you as much a sucker for a good title as I am? Anyway, I got my iPhone 12 Pro after scouring. I hate specifications, but they were so close. I scoured through these, looking for what was different, and frankly looking for reasons to buy that Pro model. And then when I got it, I went through all the specifications going the other way. I searched for an excuse to send it back and to buy the iPhone 12 instead. I didn't succeed, and now, nearly a year later, I'm very glad that I stuck with the iPhone 12 Pro. But it's true, the differences are tiny. It's just that there were enough of them, and they made enough of a difference to me given what I use my iPhones for, especially what I use them for outside of writing, that I now believe I made the right choice for me. And isn't that all you can do? I mean, I can really strongly recommend the base iPhone 12 or base iPhone 13 to you, but you have to think about what else you do with your iPhone beyond writing. For example, if you're a bit of a camera buff, for example, well then just ignore me. Ignore the base iPhone, go for the iPhone Pro. I love the photos and the videos that I can shoot on mine. If you're a lot of a camera buff, look at the iPhone 12 Pro Max or iPhone 13 Pro Max. Except actually, I did just use the word base there, didn't I? Yeah, that's a thing. On all of its devices, iPhones, Macs, whatever, Apple murders you with insufficient storage space, and then it kills you all over again with the cost of putting that right. No, actually not putting it right, getting it right. You need to make your choice of storage when you're buying. You can't change it later, not with iPhones. Yeah, basically you can't. Apple actually changes this, what's available, what prices, more often than I can't really make very specific recommendations that will last, but I can tell you right now, the iPhone 12 starts at 64 gigabytes, which is okay. The iPhone 12 Pro starts at 128, which is better. And actually the Pro Max starts at 128 gigabytes, which now feels a bit small, given that it's meant to be used for taking a lot of photos and videos. Currently, the two Pro models can be bought with up to 512 gigabytes, which is nice. It's expected that the iPhone 13 Pro Max will go much higher. Just for completeness, the iPhone 12 Pro now has a maximum of 256. Look, if you know what these figures mean and how they will affect you, then you're better at this than I am. I can just tell you that 64 gigabytes, it feels really tight. At some point you're going to be prodded, and maybe prodded a lot, about how you're running out of space. And really, the more storage you can afford, the better. But that does rather lead us on to pricing, doesn't it? Look, I am happy to recommend the best iPhone for you as a writer, but I'm a bit more wary of talking about specific prices for it. I know it's important, but it's a fair bet, for example, that the new iPhones, the 13 range, will be priced the same as the 12, but it's never certain. So while I want to tell you now iPhone 12 prices, would you concentrate on the range of prices, the differences, more than the specific detail? Okay? The iPhone 12 mini starts at £700 or $700. iPhone 12 is from £800 or dollars. iPhone 12 Pro is from £1,000. And then the iPhone 12 Pro Max is £1,100. It starts at it. iPhone SE, by the way, starts at £399 or dollars. Suddenly seems very appealing. If you're watching this as it first goes out, do definitely subscribe and click the bell thing to be notified of new episodes, because, as I say, this series of specials on the best Apple devices for writers, it's going to conclude with part 5 on the best ways of affording all of this very expensive gear. If you're watching later, well, do that too. Do the subscription thing too. It helps me out. But also check out the Best Apple Devices for Writers playlist, where you will find that price guide and all of these recommendations for iPhone, iPad, Macs, Apple Watch, and actually a bit more. Given, I suppose I could have just stood up in front of you and said, buy the iPhone 12 or the iPhone 13. Look, I hope you agree that there's been a lot to talk about, and I actually hope that what you and I have gone through is going to help you when you make your choice of your next iPhone. Except, I told you that I bought an iPhone 12 Pro in 2020 and that I used to have an iPhone 11 Pro. I still do. I have both. When the time came to buy the 12 Pro, I could have traded in the 11 Pro and got quite significant discount because of it. I don't think actually that I'm going to buy the 13 Pro just based on how much I like the 12 Pro, but if I do, or whenever I next upgrade an iPhone, I will trade in that 11 Pro as much as I like it. The thing is that keeping your last iPhone, and the new one and the last one, whatever the last one was, it is so worthwhile. I still shoot videos on the 11 Pro. Sometimes on 58 keys I'll want to demonstrate something to you, and it's often the 11 Pro that I do it on because I'm filming on the 12 Pro. And also, Well, I'm not kidding about how useful iPhones are for us as writers and as writers running a writing business. I don't believe I can be without an iPhone now, and I never have to be. I've got the spare. That's it for this edition of 58 Keys. Do remember that it's one of a series of specials, so look out on YouTube for the best iPad, the best Mac, which is a tough one, by the way, very hard, or check out the playlist where they are all being gathered together on the 58 Keys channel. Thank you to the UK's Arts Council for all of their help in developing and evolving these specials of 58 Keys, and thank you for watching. Take care of yourself, eh? Write more, you and me both, and I'll see you soon. No, keep pedaling for a bit. I want to get some good footage of this. And you could pick up the speed.